All right, I'm Micah here with Red Publication, talking to Paige Hamilton from Helmet. Really stoked to speak to you, and I'd forgotten that I'd heard y'all a while back on Washington Avenue in some defunct club that was just packed out. It's exciting to get to hear y'all again, and I was checking out the new album, Dead to the World. And a couple of the songs on it, and I was really digging it. It's strange because just from my perspective, I heard some old Helmet sounds in there, but I also saw a lot of new sounds and new direction. I was hoping that we could talk a little bit about the album. I had some personal favorites on there.
Cool.
I liked I Heart My
Guru. Yeah,
that one I've listened to like a bunch of times already. I was talking to some people outside about it, asking which songs they liked. I thought that one was really good, and I thought the one that y'all led with, Bad News? Released early on. I liked it. It was really different seeming.
Super different.
So maybe you want to talk a little bit about Dead to the World and what you're doing in that album, or what you.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the old elements combined with new elements, I think it's I always have felt that we've had a fairly natural progression from 1989 through 2016. As far as, even though there have been personnel changes, the music sort of dictates what you're doing. You're writing songs, obviously, and various themes appear throughout the life of the band, and those I've kind of explored those themes for years, and it's like there might be something that inspires you, like reading a billboard or getting a religious handout from someone that knocks on your door in Los Angeles, or the news report that you see at your parents' house or something, and various things kind of jar ideas loose from my head, and it's just then it kind of becomes about the craft of songwriting. And so this album's no different in that sense, and that's why I think the music has sort of progressed naturally. I'm not trying to. We've never tried to be like part of some particular genre, club. Some people that's offensive to. They want to be like, I'm metal and I'm only metal, and other people are like, I am indie and I'm only indie, and we're the cool kids club, or we are noise rock, or we are hardcore, or we are whatever. And I think all those things are elements that are kind of part of the what makes Helmet, the music of Helmet. And so that I feel like at this point in my life I don't have to apologize really for anything either, So not like I did in the past, but early on when you're so naive and you're just writing these songs because they're fun, and you dig your bandmates and you're rocking out and stuff, and then you read your first bad review. Somebody hates your guts because you don't have long hair or tattoos, or some guys think about my teeth being really straight. And
a straight super.
He's actually really quite handsome, and I was just like, wow, okay, I guess like this guy wants to suck my dick. He doesn't like the music, So you're like, I just stopped. As the years have gone on, just stopped reading that stuff. I just don't read reviews.
You can't really worry about what the others are doing because it's about the music. I mean,
it's gotta be.
Even when we talk about genres, the best we're doing is trying to describe music. It's not a cage to get trapped in. Some people want to stay a long time in that area. That's their business. That's their creativity. But it's usually used by people that I don't know necessarily are musicians.
It's cool. I mean, like, look, when you're 14 years old, you have a limited perspective. Okay, so when I was. Let's say 15, it'd be like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and Ted Nugent. That's all I listened to. And then I was like, oh, AC/DC, that's amazing. And then I heard like George Benson, and then I heard Wes Montgomery and Miles Davis. And as the years went on, as I became a musician and a better player, and I still play every day. So my guitar playing is going to progress. I'm not the same guitar player I was in 1989 when I formed the band. And my singing, it progresses as well, because you hear more things.
I noticed that particularly in the new album. The having not been an avid follower, I knew the mainstream music that we got, and I dug a little bit deeper, but really hear the voice growth. I noticed that especially in songs like "Bad News."
That's a kind of a bit of a tip of the cap to the Beatles. Obviously, it's the song "Tomorrow Never Knows." I always loved, and I just got this idea about a friend of mine who was I found to be very moody, and he would be complaining all the time. You're just like, you don't know if you're going to say one wrong thing and set him off. And we all have people like that in our lives. and you're like, if everything's hunky dory and rosy, you think you're tripping along. You say you make one innocuous comment, or so you thought, and then that person is super offended. And there's I stole one line from William Butler Yeats. I always have books of poetry around Pound, Ezra Pound, Yeats, Eliot, just poets that because I keep them on my bed, I'll read something and you absorb things through osmosis, and this is it's the same with music listening. If you actively,
it's like experiencing part of the world, and that's what music is for kids or someone listening to your album. It's the same thing. It's experiencing part of the world. They're making these connections. It's keeping them company, like the poets keep us company.
Yeah.
But they're not there to talk to. They're just there with us.
Yeah. And I think people talk about lyrics as poetry. I don't. Lyrics are lyrics. Poetry is poetry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Patti Smith's lyrics are she's very poet-like, or whatever the word is, but it's still lyrics. It's still song, because you're singing the song. You're not reading poetry. Let us go then, you and I. How does it go? I can't even remember. I always remember certain lines from not Wasteland, Proof Rock.
As the evening is spread out against the
arms
sky.
white and bare. Yeah, arms white and bare, and the lamplight down with light brown hair. All these little things that stick with you your whole life. You do not do any more, black shoe, in which I've lived like a foot for 30 years, poor and white, barely daring to breathe or chew. Like Plath hit me. I was like, 17 is like, holy crap. And those things influence you but I'm still writing lyrics. There's a melodic thing or a rhythmic thing. If it's not a melodic song, if it's like a rhythmic, hardcore kind of vocal, and you're putting this puzzle together with in the case of Helmet, you might have the drums in 4, the guitars in 6, and then the vocals. Which part are you going to sing with? Are you going to sing in 6? Or are you going to sing in 4? There was a song early on called "Geisha to Go" that I wrote. That's on the very first Helmet demo tape, and I put 3, 4, and 5/4 in the same song just to see if I could do it, and you can do it. It's kind of like a math mind thing. That was back then. It was more of an exercise, and as I got older and progressed, I started hearing things, and I was just writing what I was hearing, and so it was less of an intellectual process. Though, as Mozart said, your brain, your ears, and your heart, all three of those things are still what go into.
Well, different timing is certainly something that Helmet's been noted for by most of their critics, and you're still carrying on in that vein as it's progressed.
Yeah, it's just a natural thing for me. I was always on the subway in New York. 3, 4, and 4. I was always fascinated with those grooves together, and there's a lot of that. I think that came from Kashmir, from Led Zeppelin or something, because I was a huge Zepp head. That was my band. That's the reason I play guitar, because of Jimmy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you're so candid about your absorption of the world and how it comes into your creative process. I think that's something a lot of people get in a bubble and they think they can just create when the light comes down instead of like reaching out and going down this way. And even the different rhythmic patterns push you to create in a new way as well, right? I mean,
of course, yeah. I played. I had the privilege of playing guitar in Glenn Branca's orchestra in New York in the late '80s on Symphony No. 6. Back then, I can't even remember how many guitars we had. Maybe 6 electric guitars or 8. I forget. But he superimposes these cool rhythms. He's got the drummers, playing in 4, and we were playing. I call it the Ba Ba Baran riff. It was like ba 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 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, and the accent changes ba 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 ba. To me, it's like, and it's really interesting that when you think about that, and we're all using the same musical elements, writing a song, music in a song format consists of, melody, harmony, rhythm, text, the words, and form, your structure. And what makes music interesting to me is how people, reinvent those forms or create their own forms and those things and put those things together. People are like, what do you think of this band? I'm like, well, it reminds me a lot of, Cactus or ZZ Top from the 70s, and I grew up smoking pot to those bands, so I don't need to hear that again because nobody's better than ZZ Top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that music.
Yeah.
And so when people are doing retro stuff, I'm like, okay, it's cool, I get it, I got it. So a friend of mine played with this band in the bus the other night in Orlando, and I'm just like, they like the Jam, and they're gonna tell everybody they never heard of them, or whatever. You know, it's like, oh, the Strokes never heard television. Yeah, sure they didn't. You know, it's like it's cool. It's you know, but that's not where we're coming from. You know what I mean? Our thing wasn't, we weren't trying to be metal, we weren't trying to be indie or hardcore or anything. We liked heavy, aggressive music, and we liked funky music that had a groove to it. And my friend Danny Korchmar, the great producer, and his friend Steve Jordan, who's Keith Richards' drummer and just amazing musician, said, man, he's like, you guys just groove so hard. You're like the heavy band that grooves, it's not the groove, you know. And they said some other funny shit I can't repeat, but you know, and I like that. T.M. Stevens, also a bass player from Pretenders, and he played with James Brown and Miles and these people. And he was like, it's like almost like a big ball of ice cream, and you dig into it and there's spinach in the middle. It's like, God, I didn't know this was good for me, you know. I didn't hear that at first, you know. And people try to play Helmet songs is really funny because they're like, yeah, I can play it. Anybody can play this, and they're like, what happened? I'm lost. What happened? Where are we? And like, you dipshit. That's you know, you forgot that there was a measure of 5 there, and but it felt natural. It should feel to me natural. I mean, like, I always use this example, Highway to Hell. What is it about that second verse when it comes around and Phil Rudd plays the riff on the toms? And it throws you off. It feels so good. It's simple, you know, technically, theoretically simple, but difficult in its conceptions. Like, how do you come up with a brilliant part like that? You know, just that band fit perfectly together. It's perfectly together. That's, to me, that was kind of became the pattern. You know, like AC/DC, that's perfect. You know, that's perfection to me. ZZ Top, same thing. You're like, that's just, you know, no other.
So there's like these archetypes, you think?
Yeah, basically. I do. For me, I think
it's this
bands,
particular mold in, for lack of a better word, genre, styling, expression.
They sound like them. You know, yes, they're the blues in ZZ Top. Yeah. People are like, oh, anybody can play ZZ Top. You fucking try playing ZZ Top song. I'll watch you embarrass yourself. Same thing with AC/DC. Troy, you're going to embarrass yourself. I can play the chords. I can play them. I know what the song is. I can play the half their songs. You know, figure out this, but you can't play. You can't. You know what I mean? That's
why there's not so many Helmet cover bands.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, we just got a Helmet tribute album. I think there are like 20 bands on there.
Oh, very nice.
I sadly haven't had a chance to listen to it because I have all these kind of, you know, projects.
What do you think about those
simultaneously?
These tribute albums? It's something I wouldn't normally ask. But
yeah,
I've got a few that I really dig. These alternate versions sometimes, like bands I would never have heard of. Yeah. Their original stuff is sick, you know. But hearing these alternate versions of Sabbath or something like done, you know, they had a couple.
I think it's cool. I mean, we've done a fair amount of cover songs throughout the years. We did Bjork, Army of Me, speaking of Sabbath. We did Symptom of the Universe for the Jerky Boys movie a million years ago. We just did. During the recording process on this album, we did 5 cover songs, and I was going to pick one for the album. Ended up being Green Shirt by Elvis Costello. And it was like, it just fit with the theme, like the TV, you know, announcers, shine all the buttons on your green shirt. You know, there's a smart young woman on light blue screen comes into my house every night. It was like the first song on the album, Life or Death, is kind of that walking by, you know, in the living room and hearing Fox News quotes from, you know, one of my parents, my father, may he rest in peace, would watch it religiously, and I was like, the newscaster thing, news as infotainment, rather. To me, so that song fit. And so the other 4 we're going to release on, I guess, Record Store Day or something like that in April. Do like a box. So I have this kind of art project I did where we took photographs of me playing guitar with these lights in my hand and copper wiring at my fingertips, and then we ran voltage through the strings and got all these beautiful images. So that's the artwork for the 4 covers. We did David Bowie Move On. ETI by Booster Cult, one of my favorite bands ever. One of the best concerts I ever saw in my life. And Wire, Mercy, another band of heroes of mine who I've had the honor of playing with, and another Beatles cover we did, I'm Only Sleeping. So I'm kind of slowly checking these Beatles songs off the list, trying to sneak them in. Like, I always wanted to play this.
I'm Only Sleeping's an interesting one.
It's a great song, and I love, that's my favorite album. And we did, and Your Bird Can Sing was on the last Helmet album, so I said, I better not put another Beatles cover on this album. People will think I'm pompous. Like,
well, one thing I'd say is, you know, looking at music a bit retrospectively, I'm not I've dug into older music. You know, we mine different veins. You know, we come up, we listen to a lot of this, and then we discover this, and we mine that vein.
Yeah,
we mine these different veins. I look at the late '60s and early '70s. A lot of people are covering each other's music right then and doing it kind of like in their own way. And I've seen it on the local where they're covering some music but making it theirs. And in that, I've discovered songs from minor bands that were covering, believe it or not, even David Bowie, a song I didn't know. That because I listened to this less popular band, less known band, I discovered this song. So it's funny that it can work the other way too, you know, it's just a gate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun, it's good, it's a great challenge, you know, and for me it's just a way of kind of paying, you know, homage to these guys that changed my life.
It carries it forward.
Yeah, and all these bands had a huge impact on me, you know, musically and personally as well. You get to know about them, and I got to, you know, have the honor of playing lead guitar with David Bowie on the Hours tour, and so to be around him every day, you know, like traveling and just like, you know, he always had these great things to say, you know, these little things he just was so brilliant, you know, and it was, so I always loved that song. I had the lyrics memorized 20 years ago. I've always been singing in the car, and I thought this is in my range actually. This might work as a cover song. So, you know, not taking into consideration the choir of David Bowie's and those choruses, that incredible vocal arrangement he did, where it's all him, like, wah, ya, ooh, wah, ya, ooh. It's just like, oh my God, figuring that shit out. It's just like, I have this brilliant vocal producer, Mark Rankin, in LA that I work with, and he was like, oh dude, this is so crazy. I'm like, I know, but we have to get it. You can't leave that out. It's a huge part of the song, you know. It's such a lesson in singing and writing that song. And Lodger is one of my all-time favorite records, you know. And it's really hard for me to say. Guru is a real challenge. We've been playing that I Heart My Guru, and that's been, we've been playing it every night. It was a bit daunting at first because I have a lot of, you know, patch changes, and then I have to sing, and there's a lot of words and stuff. So that's one for me, and there's a you know, on this album there's a bit of a tip of the hat to Bowie with the chattery noise that comes in at the beginning of that song is kind of the beginning of Scary Monsters, where those scampering whatever it is footsteps in it, and then it happens at the end of the album. And it's also it's a micro synth pedal that was given to me by the brother of a dear friend of mine that passed away. So I feel like that was kind of the people that I lost this year. Last year, my father, Andrew, my ex-girlfriend's niece was 2, and Bowie all passed away. So that was kind of that was them checking in, saying, "Hey, you know." It was, to me, it was just kind of, so that meant that, and then I had the Scary Monsters guitar part, I didn't rip it off, but I might as well have. It's pretty frippy, you know. And I'd never done anything like that, and I just had this great idea for a song in my head, you know, about this fake spirituality in Los Angeles, you know, so you can be doing cocaine on a mirror with a big bust of Buddha, you know. People are like, do you meditate? I'm like, man, are we gonna do cocaine or meditate? You know, it's like, it's just so LA, and I just thought it was really, really fun.
Well, y'all gonna rock out tonight. I know that's for sure. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you much, Paige.
Thanks, Micah.
And I know y'all know how to Google Helmet. Get that new album, or at least listen to it, because it is sick. I've been enjoying it, and I'm going to enjoy this show.
Cool.
What about Local H?
Oh, the sound checking right now. They're amazing. We love them. We got 40 shows in the U.S. and 40 shows in Europe, so we're dragging them over there with us too. We love them. They're our brothers.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Okay. Thanks. See ya.